This is the Generative AI Security Podcast, brought to you by the OWASP Top 10 for LLM apps and GenAI. We'll be talking about pertinent industry issues around generative AI with our project leads, contributors, and more. Please click like and subscribe for all of our latest content.
Hey, community, and welcome to the first episode of our GenAI Security Podcast. I'm Aubrey King with the OWASP Top 10 for LLM apps, and I'm joined today by Sandy Dunn and Scott Clinton. Welcome, guys. How you doing today?
Doing all right.
Absolutely amazing. Great to see you. Great to be here with you guys.
Getting ready for that Thanksgiving holiday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's. Do you guys have any good plans, or is just kind of keeping it easy at home?
For me, it's just a standard old turkey and gravy and stuffing and, that good old home stuff. So we're going to be doing that. A couple of pies, maybe. A couple of pies.
Nice. Sandy?
For more people, not pies for me. I don't eat both pies. We're going to share the pie.
It's good to share.
Yeah.
To show up and eat. I have some excellent cooks in my family, so I don't have to do anything like that. One benefit of being a bad cook is no one expects you to cook. So
nice.
So it's like going out. It's like going out to eat every time. Then for you, right? It's like going out to a restaurant. You
just get to show up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for us, it's going to be an interesting one. This is the first Thanksgiving where my wife and I are actually we went vegan this year, sort of by accident, and so like trying to find tofurkey is like impossible. I don't know why, but it's not coming up anywhere just now. I don't know if that speaks to like how many people are starting to do that vegan thing or what. But my hope is that we have something besides just squash and potatoes, and although we can do it on that, it's just a modification, and the gravy doesn't taste quite the same, I gotta say. Turkey gravy is
without that extra fat in there, it's just kind of hard. That animal fat missing is just not quite the same.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It doesn't taste nearly as good. But
try some mushroom gravy. Now, mushroom gravy I've used before. It's kind of gets you partway there, but
yeah. I've had some mushrooms where it tasted almost like steak-ish too. It's nice that you can actually make mushroom take on different tastes that you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be. So yeah, for sure. Well, that's good. I'm psyched that you guys are getting to celebrate. Hopefully that's fun. Hopefully you end up watching some football. But, we're going to, I think, talk a little bit of GenAI security here. And I think we're going to stick to, just as it's the first episode, we are going to try to stick to a bit of a bit of a theme here. I think we'll probably have a focus as well as getting to just some ideas or news or things that are on top of mind for our panelists every single episode. So the things that come up right now for us are our own project, which is nice. We just had the 2025 release that came out. Last week was officially public, right? I mean, that's been big, Scott.
Yeah, that came out last week. The team is, we started this almost a year and 3/4 ago, and the team just this last 6 or 8 months has been just really cranking on a lot of stuff. And so we're almost sort of we've been responding to some of the needs around GenAI security. And so the top 10 list for 2025 is out, like you said. We just the month before we announced a bunch of new research, including things like the deepfake guidance and solutions guide, and a whole bunch of stuff that's been coming out over these last couple of months. So really starting to focus on not just the issues and identifying those issues with generative AI security, but also providing some solutions for folks and some guidance so they can make practical. I think Sandy started some of this back when, I think back last year, earlier in the year, when she put out the CISO checklist and kind of prove that there's more need out there than just the top 10 list. But yeah, there's a lot to chew on.
We've kept the theme, any of the projects that I'm part of, I always, the metric I use is I'm always trying to create the guide that I was looking for that I couldn't find. Something that's consumable. It's I can get through it. It's not overly complex. If it has references to other resources, but it's actionable. It's something that when you go looking for this stuff as a security practitioner, you're trying to solve a problem. And I think that if you look at, there's so much information out there, but we continue to see the popularity of the OWASP Top 10 for LLMs. And I really attribute that to the fact that it is actionable, it is consumable. We don't try to, write an encyclopedia. We try to really get to the point and make it useful for people.
Yeah, I think that's a neat thing about the project is it is very, very, very approachable. And actually, I'm digging up a picture here that I saw the other day. I got it on your LinkedIn, Sandy, just to kind of return to the 2025. Was
Yeah.
the Excel? It looked like an Excel spreadsheet almost. The differences between 2024 and 2025 colorized. Was that something that you did, or something that you
Yeah, it
dug
was
up?
just something I did. Yeah, and I created it for myself because trying to figure, okay, what changed, and then after I did it, I thought, oh, I'll bet you other people would find this useful too. So I just took a screenshot and popped it out there.
Yeah, this is it. And honestly, speaking to just kind of I guess what you were talking about with the approachability of the project, this is neat. Like, when you're looking at the social media from some of the people that, that are involved in the project, such as yourself, and things by ads. And I mean, like both of you guys, obviously, like I get tons of stuff from you guys in socials. But to me, this was like the most succinct way to just describe, here are the changes. We got 2 brand spanking new ones in system prompt leakage and vector and embedding flaws, which is cool. I think those are definitely needed. So I don't know. I just wanted to bring this guy up. I thought this was really neat. And if
No,
anyone
this
hadn't
is a
seen it,
great. Yeah, I mean, this is a great way to just kind of distill it down. Like you said, we've got a couple of new areas. We have some things that kind of shifted around. I think what's really cool about the 2025 is when 2023/2024, we kind of worked with the data the team had.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot more experience, a lot more data now, right? So being able to kind of bring that in because kind of help reprioritize things. Plus, all this stuff's been evolving so fast. We talked about like RAG application architectures that was sort of an emerging thing. And now that's basically the de facto architecture for a lot of applications that people are trying to apply, LLMs in particular, but even other generative AI solutions, because people are concerned about where the data is coming from, the compliance around it, and being able to secure that, and so augment it with your own stuff. So that's a big change, but that's also opened up a bunch of challenges, right? So as that architecture matures, we're going to start to see more challenges. But that's why it's so important to kind of include it this year.
Yeah. Me too. It's been amazing how much the architectures have changed, and really RAG to me is seems like the big one. It modified kind of the conversation around everything that we talked about with this 2025 list. At least that was my perspective. I mean, it really can impact all the different elements.
Yeah, I mean, and I know we're moving toward these new architectures, these applications, and so RAG you just talked about now it's going to be more mature. Now there's a big conversation around agentic applications, right? So what does that mean? How is that going to start to take on a new life? I almost feel like agentic applications are almost kind of in a deja vu with RAG, right? So agentic applications is kind of where RAG was last time the list went out, and so we're going to see a bunch of evolution around architectures. I recently was talking with NVIDIA, and they were putting out some new architecture diagrams that give some reference architectures around agentic architecture. So, but they even admit they were not complete, right? They're just kind of getting started as references. So, there's going to be a lot of challenges that come with that need to be addressed. So that could be something that shows up in 2026.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be. I'm kind of wondering, what what sort of early data we're seeing insofar as, attacks specifically on agentic applications or by. That's
Yeah, there's probably the ones that are by are the ones we don't necessarily know about yet. But the ones that are on, I think we're still pretty early days in that. I know the project is in the process of kicking off a focus around investigating that area particularly. We mentioned it in the solutions guide we put out back in October, but November, right? No, October. Yeah, forgetting what month I'm in for a minute there. So yeah, Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, October, Halloween. That's how I measure the different ones. So back in October, when we released that information, the solutions guide, we started to talk about what are the security risks around the different application types. One of them being agentic applications. With this idea that we're going to have some focused research that's happening around it with the project, and that's kind of underway right now.
Okay, yeah. Now with the initiatives, do you think that are we seeing focus in some of the new initiatives that we talked about on agentic apps already? Is that something that I mean, are the deepfake folks looking at that? And Sandy, does that tie into the future of the governance checklist and whatnot? I mean, is that stuff that you're already looking at?
Yeah, there is a new group that just got created that John is leading, talking about the agentic. When I think about it, for me, agentic is it's really, you still have the fundamental issues that you have with large language models: the prompt injection, the indirect prompt injection, the hallucination, the bias. And so, even though I see it coming, and it's coming now, here's the other thing: is a lot of times you see a lot of hobbyists or researchers talking about this stuff, but then the business, there's a huge gap between it actually being solving a business problem. So people get really excited about using it themselves or setting it up or creating these different workflows. The other interesting thing I find is they're saying, well, it can read all your email. Well, maybe the problem is you have too many email. Maybe you don't need an LLM. Maybe you need to quit having, maybe it's how you have too many meetings. You're not focused. So I think.
Yeah, it could even be your style, right? So you could be a zero inboxer, or you could be, like me, who, I have, 30,000 emails, whatever the number is, right? So it's dependent whether that's an important enough problem to be solving. So it sounds, like you said, it sounds kind of interesting, but the question is, how important is that?
And where does it fit in the big landscape of things? And I think the businesses are still, like a lot of us, I eat, sleep, and breathe AI, LLM security, and all aspects of it. And then you step out of your kind of echo chamber, and it's all we talk about because that's what our group is centered around. But then you step out to even, regular cybersecurity people that haven't had a chance to dig in as deep as we have. And there's a lot of confusion about what it is, what they should be worried about. I saw a post this week by a threat researcher who I really respect. And there was some executable code. And I can happy to send you the link about exactly what happened. But basically, ChatGPT sent him to a GitHub site that then had a compromised URL, and there was code executed on his system. And he was saying, oh, that was model poisoning. Well, that wasn't, even though he's very informed, kind of on the front end of this. That's really what we classify as output validation. And so, just having discussions around knowledgeable people, and then cybersecurity people who understand the cybersecurity landscape and all of those things. And so I think as we continue to evolve, November 30th is the anniversary, the ChatGPT explosion anniversary, right?
Yep.
And so now we're 2 years into this, and, how has it changed? Well, the world has changed.
Yeah.
It definitely has changed. how have businesses, I still think there's a slow business adoption. They have this new thing. They're not sure what to do with it. It's so different than any technology that they've ever used in the past. It doesn't follow rules. It's trained. So trained like a tiger, right? Tigers, you can train a tiger. It will sit on a stool and jump through, but sometimes it still bite, like it. And so they're
Yeah, I mean, it's
struggling
not
with this
exactly, you're
now.
not guaranteed a tiger's behavior, right? It's going to follow a certain pattern,
Exactly.
and that's sort of the
It-
challenge. And to your point, I think a lot of people are, as you said, businesses are trying to figure out what to do. The bottom line is people are deploying it. And when I was at a couple of conferences talking about some of the stuff we're working on, people are telling me how they're just like blocking people from using it. And
They're
look,
probably
you can't
not, but
block
they think
people.
they
You
can.
can't, right? It's the whole thing we've had before with SaaS applications. We can talk about web applications. It's as soon as you cross over from sort of that business kind of application controlled environment in consumer environment, that this type of thing is, benefiting broadly and accessibly broadly, people bring it to work, whether you know it or not. So
Right.
it's out there. People are using it. And for many companies at the board level, it's, FOMO, right? So we need to have an AI strategy. We need to be using generative AI in our solutions because we need to be competitive. But we're all at that stage. Again, another technology deja vu moment where we're, trying to roll out new technology to be competitive, to create differentiation. People are trying to roll it out, but they don't understand it. But they're also not going to stop it. So you got to find a way to kind of balance that. And that's, I think, some of the stuff that hopefully the work that we're putting out for the project can kind of help people that way. That's the goal anyway.
It's funny. You mentioned, Sandy, you mentioned back there, business impacts, which kind of, it just brought my mind to something else that I ended up seeing in social media recently. And maybe you guys have comments on this. Exabeam, right, put out a release about how they used the deepfake guidance offered by our project to actually end up stopping a deepfake hire.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you guys happened to see that, but to me, that was, I thought, really pretty amazing within the past month or so, and it was really neat to see just how the business impacts of this project that we're in, and kind of what that sort of guidance does. It's when it's in your face and shows you, hey, we used it right now to do this exact thing, and at that time it was hot off the press too, which that was really kind of lucky. Now you guys are both close to to Rachel and team and Brian, right? So do you know what's up next for them, or where that project rolls off to?
Yeah, I believe that they have a plan to release in January. Is that right, Scott? January, February. They're working on the threat intelligence, and so, um, one of the things that we certainly, I know Rachel and I have talked a lot about it, is not wanting to reinvent the wheel. Like threat
Yeah.
intelligence, there's a way that it's shared. There's platforms and different methods for being able to share that information, and so making sure that people weren't trying to create something brand new, that we were building, we're adopting existing practices and kind of blending it in. So
Yeah, and I think that they're planning right now. So we're going to have the full roadmap for all of the projects are going to be up on the website. So they have a hold on a second. I think I have a dog here. Hold on a second.
We love dogs on the podcast.
Hold on a second. I need to go sneak the dog out, and then I'll answer the question. Just give me a second.
All right. The magic of editing.
Yeah. So I think that as you're saying, Sandy, we're actually putting out a whole roadmap of the whole project that has all of the different things that each of the initiatives are working on. When I'm talking to Rachel, there looks like we're looking at March for that time frame for the guide, and then there is going to be a blog coming out. Really, they're looking at a couple of different things. You might recall, but obviously listeners don't know, but we did a a partnership with the University of Illinois to get access to a lot of their research. And again, like you said, trying to not, reinvent the wheel how we do these things from a CTI perspective, but really just focus on the use cases that we're addressing in generative AI. And so some of the work that they've been doing with them is going to show up in this March guidance. But with so much going on, I think probably in January they want to put out a blog just to kind of give some general direction around responses and incident responses, with the more detailed stuff coming up in March. So I think that's the current plan. And so if we're going to get that posted up today, so it'll have all of the roadmap for all of the projects and all the deliverables through 2025.
Nice. And that's just going to be available on our website, GenAI.
Yeah, you just go to genai.owasp.org. I feel like I'm doing an advertisement. genai.owasp.org/roadmap, and then that's where you'll have our roadmap. So probably by about 2:00 today Pacific time. So anybody who views this is probably going to be able to get access to that.
I'm sure you're going to have people salivating, just watching the watch. Like, oh, when is it happening?
Is it time? Is it time yet?
Refresh.
Exactly. So we'll have that.
I think it's important to point out, though, and it's why I love being part of this community, is everyone volunteers their time. So sometimes roadmaps do slip. I mean, anyone who's been involved with the project, I mean, it takes a lot to get a project out the door. There's a lot of organizations and meetings, and we really try to make sure that everyone has a voice and has input if they want to have input. So, but we're all volunteers. All of us have day jobs and we have families and trying to do stuff. So, roadmaps are important, because if you don't stick a stake in the ground, stuff never gets done. But sometimes they do slip.
Yeah, we even have a little asterisk there that says, things may change given resources. But we also have the other good news is that we've got a lot of people who've come in, as a community where it's all volunteer, right? That's what we're doing. And but we've also have a lot of companies that are supporting employees in putting their time into the project, which is great. So we've got that whole group of almost 110 companies kind of supporting the project. And then even when we release the 2025 guide, we now have sponsors who are coming in and not only, helping us make sure that we cover operations costs. We can do things like this podcast. We can start to make sure we can do more research, pay for the resources we need to do for Rachel and team to do head-to-head kind of analysis and testing, and bring more resources and people into the project. So it's been really fun to kind of see it sort of that ground up swell of volunteers to companies that have started to step in and help support their employees in that, to now a whole set of sponsors to make sure that we can keep continuing to do this work, which is great.
Yeah, I love it, and thank you for your efforts there. That's you're making some cool stuff possible. So
it's the community getting it done. So it's all of us working together, finding a way to get it done. So yeah, it's just great to see the traction, and that just speaks to sort of the output of all the different groups and projects that we're doing today. So,
well, we definitely have some fun stuff coming up. It seems like this project is only getting bigger and more exciting and informative. I know that in the next probably 2 weeks from now, I think we're going to have on the podcast, we're going to be talking we're going to be talking about the red teaming initiative and what that is, where that goes. Those guys have a bi-weekly meeting as well, right? Is that right? Yeah. Bi-weekly.
Yep.
So I think we're going to try and get a little more data from that meeting as well. That seems to be highly requested content. Also, you're going to see from the podcast in a couple weeks after that, we're going to be doing a holiday special, I think. And then beyond that, we'll see.
Do we have to dress for it? Do I have to bring my holiday wear? No, is that going to be a requirement?
And I'm going to put this out there right now, because hopefully people will listen to this. If join the project Slack, find me on Slack, and please send me your absolute jankiest AI holiday stuff. That's it.
Oh, awesome. Yes.
That's it. I want to put together a bit of a collage, because obviously no one's going to be around. I think on Wednesday, the meeting will fall right on Christmas. So in North America, that's going to be challenging for sure, and in plenty of other places, I'm sure as well. So I figured.
So you want everything. You want everything from like the coolest landscape with snow and houses, trees, and bears to the three-headed deer.
Yeah. Well, Jason Ross sent me one already, and he's like, I think mine just shows tremendous bias. And it was pretty interesting. He's like, I've been, I already had some conversation when I made this, and so I think this definitely shows the bias of what we were already talking about. And so things like that, that's what I want. Obviously there could be holiday poetry, whatever. If there are, if somebody wants to make an AI reading of Night Before Christmas, whatever. I mean, anything. I want to try and string a couple of these things together and just kind of have that on the podcast for that day while we're not here. So
perfect.
Sounds good.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we kind of close up this first episode, guys?
No, it's been great.
Yeah, I just want to point out that, OWASP really does fit a very unique place in the world. I mean, we're the only organization that really is non-denominational. We're worldwide. So many of our projects have been turned into other languages. Volunteers step into Slack and say, hey, I want to convert this to Japanese. I want to convert this to Spanish. Can I help you do that? And I think it really is being part of OWASP and being part of this project has been one of the most fantastic things that I've ever been part of, just because it's all of those things. At work, you want to make things better, and sometimes you don't get the runway. There's no appetite for your new idea or your approach, or nobody wants you, and like the people who have the project aren't looking for people to add to it or something. And this has really been an opportunity to jump in, meet some incredibly amazing people, do some really cool stuff. So appreciation for all of you that I work with, and appreciation for the OWASP organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's right, Sandy. Yeah, it's a good echo. It's like you said, it's weird. The organization is one of the only kind of non-proprietary. Even our solutions guide that we have and the solutions online directory we put out, open source, commercial products, but it starts to really address a key need. Like, we put that out there because there was a key need about what are the solutions. We've got the top 10, and there have been so many startups that have just popped up in the last few months. Just being able to navigate that and being part of a community that can give guidance on what are some of the useful ones, what are some of the not useful ones, what are some of the opportunities people can both contribute to the project and start to provide some more guidance. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, I feel the same. What you guys just said, that's really my comments on being involved in this as well. And I want to thank you both for joining me here on this podcast. Thank you, Scott, Sandy. I appreciate it. And thank you, community, for tuning in. We hope to see you in 2 weeks, right? So if you can just click like and subscribe and do all those other things, tell your friends, and I don't know, maybe even send the episode to your mom. It doesn't matter.
She can even join. Your mom can join on Slack too. So you join our Slack. Have your mom join our Slack.
That's right.
It's a bunch of nice people. It's all good.
It really is. All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out the Generative AI Security Podcast. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.